As protests took place in countries all around the world, there were some that got a lot of media attention and some that didn't. Possibly one of the most successful protests in the past decade took place in Iceland during the years 2008 and 2009. What the people of Iceland achieved through their actions is perhaps why there was so little coverage of the protests. The story starts in the year 2000 when massive deregulation measures were taken that basically destroyed the quiet, high standard of living and beautiful country that Iceland was. One of the major moves taken at the time was the privatization of the three largest local banks in Iceland, who in the history of their existence never needed to operate outside of their own country. Once privatized, over a period of 5 years, these three tiny banks borrowed $120 billion. That was 10 times the size of Iceland's economy. These private bankers went on a massive spending spree, buying up luxuries, businesses, and assets that they didn't need. It didn't take much time for a massive stock and housing bubble to be created, and at the end of 2008, during the worldwide economic downturn, Iceland's banks collapsed in a 1-week period. Everybody in Iceland felt the effects of this crash, and many had lost all of their savings. Protests broke out in Iceland as people were demanding a change in government due to what they allowed to happen. From October 2008 to January 2009, these protests continued until the Iceland government finally resigned. While it is unclear why exactly they resigned, the peaceful protests achieved precisely what the citizens wanted it to. The years that followed the resignation saw positive results for the country as they worked their way back to nearly zero deficit. Unemployment numbers lowered, and measures were put in place to make the system more fair for citizens. People were pleased. Was this all the result of peaceful protests? Can humanity use this example as a means to begin making change in their own countries?